From today's perspective, it's painfully clear that Ford's electric vehicle dreams are hitting a major speed bump. The company is desperately scrambling to address abysmal sales figures, and their once ambitious plan now looks like a recipe for disaster. Many industry experts are wondering if this could be the final nail in the coffin for Ford's misguided electric ambitions. Let's dive deep into the mess that Ford has created for itself. Ford's EV division is hemorrhaging money at an alarming rate. While Tesla continues to profit, Ford is drowning in a sea of red ink. Last year, the company was losing a staggering $36,000 on every F-150 Lightning sold. Fast forward to today, and the situation has gone from bad to catastrophic. Ford is now bleeding an eye-watering $100,000 per EV sold. In the first quarter of 2024 alone, Ford managed to lose over $2 billion on EVs. This financial disaster is threatening to drag down the entire company. The only saving grace is that sales figures for EVs are still relatively modest, allowing Ford's combustion-powered vehicles to offset some of these massive losses. To put this into perspective, Ford's Super Duty trucks alone generated an impressive $3 billion in profit, while the fast-growing hybrid sector contributed over $900 million in the first quarter of this year. But how long can these traditional segments prop up Ford's sinking EV ship? The company's so-called Model E division, responsible for electric vehicles, was initially estimated to lose around $5 billion. However, the reality has proven to be far worse. With each passing quarter, the losses are mounting, and there's no end in sight to this financial hemorrhage. Ford's dealers are in open rebellion against the company's EV push. These electric vehicles are piling up on dealers' lots like unwanted junk, and salespeople are avoiding them like the plague. Why? Because selling an EV is a nightmare compared to a traditional car. Customers take forever to make a decision when it comes to EVs, and in the end, the dealer makes less money. Salesmen are forced to invest significantly more time with EV buyers, who tend to consider their purchase much longer compared to typical internal combustion engine buyers. In other words, they're spending way more time to earn the same commission. From the dealer's perspective, overflowed lots are not the only issue. Markups, which were once a source of easy profit when EVs like the Mustang Mach-E first hit the market, are now extremely low. Furthermore, no dealer in the world is happy with the fact that there is potentially less service money from EVs. With no oil changes or typical services associated with combustion cars, dealers are seeing a significant portion of their revenue stream dry up. With all these factors in play, it's no wonder that only half of the 3,004 Ford dealers nationwide showed any interest in selling electric vehicles. The early adopter phase is over, and there's no more opportunity to rip off wealthy customers through massive markups. Instead, EVs have become a hard sell, and dealers are feeling the pinch. In a move that can only be described as delusional, Ford tried to force its dealers into an absurdly expensive certification program. The company demanded dealers invest at least $500,000 to become eligible to sell EVs. That would be the cheaper variant, which would include chargers, training, and similar necessities. But it gets worse. There was also a more expensive program called Elite, which would include additional chargers, demo units, and a presence on Ford.com. The price tag for this elite status? A staggering $1.2 million. Unsurprisingly, this harebrained scheme backfired spectacularly. For many dealers, this didn't make any sense from the beginning. Half of them turned down this program immediately. As for the rest, they initially wanted to participate, but as things got even more complicated, they started giving up one by one. And who can blame them? Why would any sane dealer invest so much in something so uncertain, especially considering that it's unclear whether Ford's EV strategy would actually work? The company's tone-deaf approach to its dealer network is just another example of its complete disconnect from reality when it comes to EVs. But the story doesn't end there. It turned out that the program wasn't even legal. Authorities in numerous states across America saw this as a blatant example of denial of the right to sell. Ford had no choice but to step back, and now it looks like they'll eventually have to cancel the whole program and let every dealer sell electric cars if they want to. If there's one thing Ford didn't need, it was more reliability issues. Yet here we are with their EVs breaking down left and right. Ford has never been the epitome of reliability, but things went from bad to worse the moment EVs were introduced. The Mustang Mach-E was the first to face troubles, and it turned out that the electric crossover had a couple of pretty serious issues, including one referring to battery overheating. Eventually, the company issued a couple of recalls, including a massive one that included nearly 35,000 models produced in 2021 and 2022. It turned out that there was an overheating of the battery contactor, which could cause the vehicle to lose power while driving, especially under heavy acceleration. This posed a significant security risk. The same issue appeared after DC charging, further eroding consumer confidence in Ford's EV technology. Then came the F-150 Lightning, Ford's supposed crown jewel in the EV world. But it wasn't issue-free either. It also faced a couple of recalls, including one in 2023 where fasteners weren't secured properly in the high-voltage battery pack. This could lead to electrical arcing and fire risks, not exactly the kind of features you want in your brand new electric truck. To make matters worse, one F-150 Lightning actually burned to the ground at the Dearborn plant parking lot. This incident only raised more concerns about Ford's quality control and their ability to produce safe, reliable electric vehicles. All in all, EVs didn't help Ford improve its already tarnished reputation. Electric vehicles are supposed to be more reliable than combustion cars, but real-world exploitation has denied that notion a long time ago. Today, reliability issues are one of the main reasons why potential EV buyers hesitate or choose proven technologies, and Ford's customers are no different. Ford promised that its EVs would be just as capable as their gas-powered counterparts. Surprise, surprise, they lied. The F-150 Lightning, touted as a revolutionary electric truck, turned out to be a massive disappointment when it comes to real-world use. Ford was the first company to launch an all-electric pickup truck, and despite a couple of drawbacks, it initially seemed like a pretty decent pickup, good enough to keep up with combustion counterparts in terms of essential capabilities. However, once the new pickup hit American roads, it became clear that EV technology is still far from being adequate for this segment of vehicles. Soon enough, it turned out that not only did the F-150 Lightning have lower towing capacity compared to combustion rivals, but it also lost a big portion of its range when actually used for trucking things. Motor Trend conducted a practical test with 3 trailers of different weights ranging from 3,500 to 7,000 pounds, and the results were abysmal. It turned out that a pickup capable of making 280 miles with a full battery is quite vulnerable when doing this relatively simple task. With these trailers, the range dropped to between 90 and 115 miles, depending on the exact trailer. This test only showed that EV technology was far from being appropriate for the pickup truck segment, a market that Ford has long dominated with its combustion-powered F-150. Ford's EV gamble is pushing the company to the brink of financial ruin. Like every other automaker that got into EVs, Ford started with the idea that at first, the company would be losing money and that eventually, mass and optimized production would lead to the profitability of electric vehicles. Well, it turned out that the whole process was going to take way more time than expected. Not only is the turning point much further away than we anticipated, but the cost of the Model E division is also much higher than projected. We already talked about these losses. The company expected to lose a bit over $3 billion last year, but that eventually ballooned to $5 billion. In other words, the Blue Oval company is running out of the capital needed for further investments. Yeah, combustion cars can cover the losses for now, but no one knows how long this is sustainable. In these times of EV uncertainty, Ford had no other option but to postpone $12 billion worth of investments planned for this year. The production of the F-150 Lightning has been scaled down significantly, while the second battery plant in Kentucky has been postponed. These are just some of the many examples of Ford's retreating EV ambitions. The company is burning through cash at an alarming rate with no profitability in sight. How long before Ford's EV disaster starts impacting its ability to produce the vehicles that actually make money? The final nail in the coffin? The market has spoken, and it's saying a resounding no to Ford's EVs. The middle-class buyers Ford desperately needs are turning their backs on these overpriced, underperforming vehicles. We're no longer talking about early adopters ready to pay hefty prices to get a new piece of tech. Nowadays, the middle class is the focus, and it looks like this demographic group isn't particularly interested in electric cars. Most potential customers find EVs too expensive, and we're not just talking about purchase prices, but also running costs, insurance costs, and more. EVs are still too expensive, and car makers like Ford still haven't solved the main issues such as charging infrastructure and range anxiety. That's why a big portion of customers are leaning towards hybrids at the moment, looking at them as a proven technology that's still greener than gas-only cars, but doesn't bring typical EV concerns to the table. Ford's EV strategy isn't just failing, it's doing so spectacularly. From financial losses to reliability nightmares, from dealer revolts to market rejection, Ford's electric dream has turned into a waking nightmare. Unless there's a miraculous turnaround, we may be witnessing the beginning of the end for one of America's most iconic automakers. The company that once revolutionized the auto industry with the Model T is now struggling to keep up in the electric age. It's a sobering reminder that even giants can fall, especially when they're betting on the wrong horse.